He is in a lot of financial trouble.
That's one of Michelle's main narratives, right? To prove that I'm such a bad person.
He is the one who is broke. He cannot pay for rent. He spent all of our money.
I said that earlier too. I said that earlier too.
He doesn't pay me $1 of child support, nothing.
I think it's inappropriate to discuss personal and private financial stuff. That should be saved for the family. But if Michelle wants to use it as her ammunition, I'm just not going to comment on it.
We were very successful. You know, in 2018, 2019, before I was pregnant, we were selling $20 million houses, 45. We did a $60 million deal. We were doing very, very good. The problem was once I had a baby, I was working less, and he just stopped working, and he got comfortable, and he just thought like, okay, I'm just gonna start spending, but not continue to make.
Yeah.
And we did have millions of dollars, and that money was gone.
Look, we've lived a great life. Michelle and I were 50-50 business partners. So if our business was failing, we're both at equal fault. And Michelle had 100% access to all of our accounts, from investment accounts to Isabella's savings accounts to shared accounts to personal accounts. So if there was an issue with spending, Michelle is 100% at fault as well, and that's really all I'm going to say about it.
The thing about Jesse that he made very obvious is he has expensive taste.
I think our greatest lunch was a $20,000 four-person 5-course meal.
He went from, like, when I first started dating him, buying $50 bottles of wine to 500 to 1,000 to 5,000. Like, he had no problem spending an enormous amount of money on wine.
That's wild.
Which
no
I don't
wine
even
is worth that much.
To me, the most unattractive thing about Jesse is him spending wildly beyond his means.
Yes.
Like, I guess if you're a billionaire and you want a $5,000 bottle of wine and you're really into wine, sure, I still think you're stupid.
He rents, right? Not that there's anything wrong with renting.
Yeah.
But if you're renting, you should not be going out and spending $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 on a bottle of wine. This says to me, you care a lot what other people think about you. So that's like the biggest red flag.
I think he would always talk about Capri because a lot of very wealthy people go there.
You don't love Capri as much as I do. If you want to go to a place where all the billionaires have their yachts parked, you go to Capri in the summer.
And I think he always wanted to be as wealthy as them. And we would sit down at tables with people with a lot of money, and he always knew, like, we don't have that kind of money, but he wanted to feel like he was them.
He's always keeping up with the Joneses.
And he's constantly texting me, we still have to share health insurance until we're divorced. So every month he tells me how much I owe him for health insurance. And he's like, you need to send it to me now because I don't have any money. But in the same breath, he has no problem tagging and going out to Craig's that night to have a fancy dinner.
Wild.
He basically spent majority of the money that they had whenever they were together, didn't leave her with very much.
He like racked up a bunch of debt, right?
Racked up so much debt and now is trying to put it on her. And it's like just all these different like really bad things that he's done. Michelle brought herself a bracelet. Like, I think like one time she bought a bracelet once and a purse once. And Jesse was so mad that she bought those things for her. She don't ever buy stuff for herself.
Michelle's biggest thing this summer, she said, no matter what I do, everyone loves Jesse. What is she trying to, like, to say no matter what I do means she's actively trying to make people hate me. And if she has this narrative that I put us into ruin, then great, I accept that.
Were you honest with the rehab center the first time about your drug use?
Brittany says that I wasn't. But yeah, I was very, very honest. But was I going through the motions a little bit more? Yeah. I don't have any words. It was just a very, very, very bad time for me. And I was at rock bottom and I didn't know what to do. Because again, I was so in my head that I was being talked about.
He's 45 and he has a 3-year-old son. Like, even Jax Taylor has to grow up at some point.
That I was trying to hurry along the process. I'm like, I don't have a problem, I don't have a problem, which I knew I had a problem. It took me to quit alcohol and drugs to realize I had a drug problem.
It's tough to say. So I am coming out that I'm an addict. I have substance issues, primarily with cocaine. That's hard to say out loud.
You had a severe dependency on cocaine.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm okay to say.
That's
but
true.
I don't think you needed it to get through the day. Like when you were sober, you were sober.
I just couldn't go out, and I couldn't go to a bar. I didn't do it at my house or anything.
Yeah, no.
I did it like when there was a function. I did it when there was my bar. I couldn't go out. It got to the point where I couldn't go anywhere in a group where I had to have some. I mean, it doesn't matter if I was going to a hockey game. It didn't matter if I was going to my bar. I think that was my problem. But unfortunately, they go hand in hand.
You did blow like most people have casual drinks, which is actually, I mean, but with fentanyl, that's, yeah.
Yeah. Such an aggressive word, blow.
I know, I can't believe we're talking about this.
But it also feels really good to talk about it because it's like I've been hiding this for so long. I don't think I've been really hiding it, actually. That's probably the wrong word
Did you
to
see
use.
the memes all over on the internet? We
I know.
knew.
People are like, are you kidding me? We all
Screenshots of
do.
you like this.
I'm glad that he finally admitted it because I felt like for a long time I had to say Jax was partying instead of saying like Jax was out snorting cocaine lines. But like, it's illegal. I can't just like spew that to the world. Even whenever he was projecting on me of all the stuff that he actually does, I still didn't turn around and like yell to the world what he was doing behind closed doors. I think that just shows how good of a woman I am that I didn't. Sorry.
It was admirable and very difficult to come out and say that. You just don't know Jax. Like, you always feel like he's playing a game. Like, is he trying to get ahead of something before it comes out? Is he trying to manipulate the situation? Is he knows how bad he's gonna look and is saying, woe is me, this is why I was acting this way, this is why I'm, almost playing, a victim of a disease, which it is, and which I 100%, again, commend him for doing it. I just hope to God he's doing it for that reason and not the other reason.
It is a really difficult thing to say out loud, let alone publicly, let alone in front of your boss, not into a vacuum and on a podcast. So like that alone does speak volumes, and I really applaud him for that because you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. I made sure that I watched the video of the podcast because I wanted to see what his body language was like, his mannerisms, like the shifting, like I know the Jaxisms of him and like when he's telling a lie or when he's not. And you very clearly, he was super nervous and super afraid in the beginning.
Yeah.
And knowing that like, once I say this, I cannot go back. So I absolutely applaud him for that. And I think that he does want to get better. I just think he doesn't want to do the things to get better.
I can't tell you how the last 100 days have been so amazing as far as my mental health, as far as let things roll off my back, not being so angry, not being so triggered. I wish I would have done this years ago. I wish I was man enough to go and say, hey, listen, I have a problem here. And to be honest, obviously my kid has a lot to do with it, That was my driving force through all this, was my son. Like I said, I don't think, if he wasn't here, I don't think I would be here today, to be honest. Just the fact that I can come out and say and hopefully can help other people that are going through it.
As soon as I sent it, I knew it was wrong.
Jesse said that you're hooking up with a billionaire.
I followed up with, somebody else had said, well, do you have evidence of that? And I said, or maybe I'm just trying to smoke out the mole on the boys' chat. Remember you had a whole thing that there was a mole?
Yeah.
I don't believe him.
Yeah.
I think that's such a convenient bull.
Yeah,
lie.
that's a really good answer.
And sure enough, we found the mole.
Danny.
Obviously.
No, Danny's the mole.
Danny wasn't even the mole.
Danny was the mole.
No, Danny was in the chat. He saw it. I've gotten the screenshot from other people that aren't
I know
even
you
in
love.
it.
Can you calm down? We know you love Danny, and we get it. Can you just admit he's the mole?
When this happened, obviously, it put me as the mole.
And it wasn't Danny's fault from what he said, and nothing against, he would fall asleep and Nia would get in his phone and read the chats and then tell the girls.
My wife does have my phone throughout the day, like to get pictures and get things, whatever. So I was like, I don't know if she's seen anything. I don't know, whatever.
I know that at least around that time at the beginning of summer, Nia was keeping an eye on the guys' chat, and she had, I think she was the one who gave Brittany a heads up that there was a girl in the house. Oh. And then that was around the time, like shortly after Brittany found the underwear.
Yes, I have seen the group chat, but also so many other people that don't keep it in the group chat. And Daniel and I, we have each other's phone codes. Like I think our Face ID is on each other's phones. So like, if his phone is out and I'm looking at something and a group chat pops up and I see it, I see it.
Zach has his face on my phone.
Yeah. See, you and Zach are just like me and Daniel.
There's 37,000 people in that chat. They all send screenshots to everybody else. No one should think that anything in there is private.
It's so funny. I think he really thought he was like
confiding in Luke.
I guess the argument Danny would make is he was just telling another one of the boys. So when Luke is the one who then told the women.
Jesse said he thinks she's sleeping with a billionaire for $1,500 a night.
I feel like that's maybe who you consider the culprit.
In hindsight, looking back when I told the girls, it was like, why did I say that? You know? Interesting.
Luke knows he has to tell me, because if I found out that he like knew about this little rumor and never told me about it, I'd be like, what is wrong with you?
I feel like I got off easier than I expected after I realized.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah,
Because I could have came at you hard.
That was definitely thank you to you.
But I understood that I am the one who said it.
Are you still in the boys chat?
Nope.
You left it?
I didn't leave it. I was kicked out by Jax.
We removed like 8 people out of that group chat, you and I, that day.
I heard it like when you try to leave it, they add you back in. You can't get out. We've all tried to leave, but they throw you back in there.
Sometimes people come and go. Sometimes we have people that come and go and take breaks. But yeah, that thing, it's still active. It's all guys that are married now, basically just venting about their relationships and wives. That's all it really is.
It's gone from a bunch of single guys
Yeah.
to a bunch of memes about parenting.
They send like memes about like just being miserably married. And I'm like, yo, this is miserable.
I mean, these people were just like talking like mad about women and just different things, and they just say everything in that chat. And Jax would show it to me often. And that's a part of the reason a lot of people didn't like Jesse, is because of how he acted in that chat.
I was voted Rookie of the Year my first year in the boys chat, just FYI.
Because so many of us knew, like Tom showed Katie, like Bo used to be on it, so Stassi knew, like we all saw it.
Stassi made Bo leave the group chat.
All the guys are showing their wives and girlfriends, and now that Jax is in all this trouble and getting told on from the group chat, because I was still finding things out about the group chat, because he was trying to deny to me still that he was with all these women, and I was like, I know you are. Like, stop lying to me. Just be honest. We are separated.
Because he would talk about it in the group chat?
He would talk about it in the group chat. And then the girlfriends find out, and they tell me. And, like,
it's a real sisterhood.
Yeah.
Danny is not the first person, or the second, or the third person from that boys chat that's shared something with me. There's a lot of moles. Is
There
all I'm
you
gonna
go.
say. It's not
There
a
you go.
super tight chat like Jax believes it is.
People talk.
You had a lot of suspicions about the timeline of Aaron and Michelle's relationship.
I put pieces together really quick. This honey company that's been in my cabinet for 2 years.
He keeps saying that it's a clue.
I remember going to Whole Foods and I say, hey, I can't find the honey. She goes, I get it at a place near Runyon. Where is his house?
Place near Runyon.
What's the clue? Yeah, I brought the honey home.
And when I got his Instagram on New Year's Day, I click on his profile and I click on that honey company and I'm like, the mother honey.
It's like, damn, honeys must be really good if people are leaving their husbands for it. If that's not an ad for Aaron's honey, I don't know what is.
We could go to a farmer's market and get honey from the same place and know the person, but it doesn't mean you're like even emotionally intimate with them.
I mean,
you
I'm
know?
fairly certain he gave her the honey.
Well, yeah. Oh my gosh.
There were a lot of crumbs that were dropped about this Aaron story. The honey was one of them. So there was all these little things, whether they're truth or not, you start to put them together.
I'm not that stupid. If I really was having an affair with Aaron, then I wouldn't have brought the honey.
Right.
Like, the logic doesn't even make sense to me.
Jesse doesn't make sense.
2 weeks after we separated, I sat her down in our office and I said, are you seeing somebody? And she said, yes. So they had this relationship for 2 years that they make it seem like it was just Isabella waving at him at the coffee shop and he'd wave back.
I met Aaron when I was married, but I would always go to a coffee shop and there's a lot of locals that go there every day. And so he was just a friend. And after I split, when I asked for a divorce, I actually ran into him and he was telling me, oh, I just got back from a trip to Japan and me and my ex-girlfriend broke up, and he told me the whole story. And then I was like, oh, well, I'm getting divorced. And he was like, oh, would you like to go out for lunch? And it just happened.
Do you think the guy that Kristen was talking about 2 summers ago?
Cause she had a boyfriend for a year. There we all said it.
Was Aaron, or is that
I know
someone
it
else?
I did not mean she had a boyfriend for a year. I meant
A year ago.
a year ago.
Oops.
Oopsie.
Words are hard.
And he wasn't really her boyfriend. Was not talking about Aaron either. I was talking with someone else.
Apparently there's this text message out there that Kristen received from Michelle asking about Aaron.
Michelle asked about Aaron in 2022. I believe there was like an emoji, like a winky face or something, like, hey, what does your friend know about this guy, Aaron? It seemed to me like in that text looked like there was some sort of spark, or she was interested in him at that time.
Michelle wasn't looking for a financial advisor at that point. You know what I mean? Like, she wasn't looking to find out where her favorite honey came from. She was texting Kristen for a very specific reason.
She had asked me about Aaron, but I didn't know that it went further. I only knew about the other guy. And to be honest, at the time, when she was sort of dating this other guy, and around the time that she had asked me about Aaron, which was like now 2.5 years ago, I understand she's married and that should be like the first thing. But at the time, Michelle and I were so close, she was literally leaving Jesse. She got her own apartment behind his back. Like, she was done.
Something that a lot of people don't know is that I actually tried to leave a year before that, and he begged me to stay for a year. Kristen and I were closest when I was getting ready to leave Jesse the very first time. She was just very attentive, like constantly texting me, wanting to know updates. And so I was like, oh, I found an apartment. Oh, I'm gonna tell him tonight. Oh.
She was encouraging you to
She
leave
was
him.
telling, she was like, he's such an asshole. He doesn't deserve you. You need to leave him. Always encouraging me. She never liked him. So that was a year prior to me even leaving. And so I think he tries to forget that time that we were just not good. We were not sleeping together. We were together, but we were not together.
For me, as her friend, seeing how poorly he was treating her, how much they were fighting, her going as far as to actually signing a lease on somewhere, I was like, well, their relationship's already over. Maybe they didn't say they're separated yet, but like, they basically are. So I was all for whatever made Michelle smile.
And I've only known them in the stage of their marriage where they were both very unhappy towards the end. And then I personally did not meet Erin until after they were fully separated. She had her own place, like the divorce papers were at least started. I met Erin after that, and I think he's a wonderful person. Like, I've spent time with him and Michelle, and they are wonderful together, and I think he's a wonderful man. Like, I don't know anything outside of what I've experienced.
I would love for a moment where I can go on vacation and not turn around and see my ex-husband that is trying to ruin my life.
I really want to be with you. Yeah, or you, be with my friend. But I'm like, the thought of Jesse in the house, why would he be in the house? So forget him. If he wants to go, go, but he needs to stay at a hotel, and we're gonna stay at the house. Okay. So everyone's voting.
Okay, everybody, you're running around asking for votes?
I heard this, I didn't see it because I very specifically stayed in the corner and played whack-a-mole for like at least $40, $50, $60 of whack-a-mole. But I heard about the vote. Jesse's wine tasting tour, sans Jesse.
I would vote for him to stay in a hotel if that made her feel comfortable.
Obviously, I'm gonna choose you over Jesse 24/7.
Like, I could not imagine if I had to go on a trip with Jax. Because me and Michelle's story is so aligned in a lot of ways. Our separation, the men are even a little bit alike, like just all the things that were happening. So I feel like I could understand where she's coming from more than any other person in our friend group. And that's why I think I was probably the only one that was like, sure, whatever you want.
You have to realize, like, my ex-husband is in my life fully. And then I have to see him, unfortunately. We still work at the same real estate office. So we have an office meeting every Tuesday. And for a long time, he just didn't go to the office meetings, which was great for me. But then he suddenly started coming, and he sits next to me at the
Right
office.
next to her every time.
Like, right next to me.
Is you moving offices an option?
I don't want to because I've moved everything in my life.
Right. You
had my vote. I vote for Team Michelle. You're good, girl. Let me win my coins.
I was naive, and I thought other people could understand how I feel.
Girl, like, he literally is the one who like
planning
started planning this trip.
Yeah, I just felt awkward.
I mean, he rented the house.
I know, that's what's so...
Doesn't matter.
This isn't the traitors. I was like, we can't banish him.
We can't banish nobody.
I'm more like, no, I don't want him to be banished from the house.
No,
I was like,
no
Michelle,
options.
I love you, but no, you got to figure that out on your own.
Do you think there's a world where even if the group voted on it, Jesse would have actually stayed in a hotel?
I don't think Jesse would have stayed in the hotel, no. Hindsight, he probably should have stayed in a hotel.
Even if we did say, you're gonna stay in a hotel, I'm sorry, unlike Big Bear and me.
Zach posted on his Instagram story a black screen with a location tag saying that he was in Big Bear.
He would show up. So you ain't stopping him from coming in unless there is a
Yeah.
restraining order in place, and there was not.
What I probably honestly would have done is I would have brought Isabella with me to the hotel, and you guys could have just filmed us having walks on the beach at sunset with me and my little daughter. And that would have been my Santa Barbara trip.
I mean, I know I'm gonna have to see him because we share a child, but it's like, do I have to go to a party and know you're gonna be there or on vacation? If he was a normal guy, I could totally be friends with him. And like, I could be at a party with him, but he's not. So I don't wanna see him.
Yeah.
Yeah, understandably so.